When we put the oil tanks inside,
Yeah.
we borrow catches
Same on the edge.
cord, we put guardrail in front of the tank.
All righty, can we just stand for the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone please check their cell phones to make sure they're all around silent. Great. Got my email? I didn't email you that.
I didn't check.
Okay. But,
I
yeah,
checked the
quite
toilet.
right. Okay.
Greg email asked you.
Yeah, I just had so many when I came back, but I'm still fiddling through. I would like a motion to approve the minutes from January 2nd, 2018.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Correspondence, Kathleen?
We have a lot. We have a thank you note for our participation in the 2017 Giving Tree program. A copy of the resolution that needs to be done for tonight regarding the justice audit. Standard workday resolution. The municipal undertaking resolution. Correspondence from the assessor regarding real property exemption changes. A copy of proposed local law number 1 of 2018 with regard to the Cold War veterans tax exemption. Copy of local law number 2 of 2018 regarding amending the senior citizens tax exemption, which copies of both of these laws are up here for anybody in the public who wants them. Correspondence from Casey Engineering regarding staff departures. Correspondence from the New Windsor Volunteer Ambulance Corps, which the village got a copy per David, the police department got a copy, and I believe all the building members got their copies. Supervisor's report for December 2017. New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation regarding engineering report eligibility with regard to the UV disinfection system and post-aeration tank installation at Hidden Valley. A letter from a resident at 51 Pine Grove Road, for which the highway got a copy and the supervisor got a copy. The Board of Assessment review and a copy of the letter from Howell's Fire Chief regarding Beverly Road, and the monthly report for the police department for December. That's all I have.
Thanks, Kathleen. Board member reports. What do you got, Jim?
Board of, I can't think of it. I think I was gonna say.
The library?
Oh, no, library, I haven't heard, got any information on the library for this year. Planning board, that's what I meant, planning board meets tomorrow. I apologize, I missed the village meeting last Thursday, the first Thursday of the month, due to the weather. Plan on going this
Thursday.
This
right?
Thursday.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Thanks, Jim. Brian?
Nothing new to report.
Matt?
The only thing this evening is the master plan committee is close to making its delivery of the draft plan to the town board. So hopefully we'll get in touch with Mike, and after our next meeting, we'll be able to have that ready for the board to review and go through the public hearing process.
Okay. The only thing that I have is I had solicited before I had left for vacation, Aileen Gunther's office, and I'm meeting Thursday at 3:30 in her Monticello office, if anyone wants to go with me, to try to up our grant money significantly. So I'm meeting with the lady that writes all of the grants for Aileen Gunther, and of course I'll report back if anything good, bad, or indifferent comes out of it. But I'm thinking I'll probably leave here about 3 o'clock on Thursday if anyone's available and wants to meet me, that's fine. And highway. Mr. Dane.
I got a couple things. The end of this week, hopefully we're going to, the Orange County Highway Superintendents are going to help the 4-H transport some millings out to their park. There's 2 towns, the County of Orange and 6 townships right now that are gonna donate trucks for the day. This is Thursday and Friday. I'd like to participate with the board's permission. You said anything that we do for the 4-H would have to be approved by the board.
Our guys are on 5 days now anyway, right?
Yeah. I would supply 2 trucks, 1 single, 1 tandem. Trucks we have without wing plows. We'll just pull the front plows off for the 2 days. The weather looks good. Some of the towns that are cooperating are Crawford, Wayweonda, Deer Park, Minnesink, Walk Hill. Walk Hill's also loading. Villages is Cornwall on the Hudson, Village of Goshen, and Orange County DPW is gonna supply 2 trucks. So
Nice.
And what were the dates again, Dean?
potentially this Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
The other thing, I have given 3 copies of a brochure and a quote for a lift. All these years, we've been working on police cars and our trucks on the ground with floor jacks. Those of you that don't know, every 3 months, we bring in the entire police fleet, service on building inspector's vehicle. They're on a 3-month rotation, so every 3 months they get oil changes, we take care of the brakes, tires, everything. I think it's about time we make the investment and put a lift in. I know myself, most of the guys over there aren't getting any younger, so it would make our life a lot easier. The lift that we have here is a 16,000-pound lift that would handle our 1-ton dump trucks, our box van. It wouldn't handle any of the big international trucks, which we don't have the height to raise any of them anyway in this building.
Okay.
And there's very rarely that you have to. They are a Orange or a New York State. They're on OGS contract.
Mhm.
They're also NJPA. They gave me a quote today. The salesman was here to verify that we have a location that would work for this lift. Before I talked about it, I wanted to make sure that we had the ceiling clearance, the concrete floor to support it, and everything else. So it looks like it's $18,000 installed, $18,054.87.
And you have enough money in your lines for that?
I'd like to pay for it out of the garage equipment account,
Okay.
the reserve account.
Okay.
I know that money's in a CD, but I would coordinate with you to see when it's gonna come available to put this in. I don't wanna put it in when the money's tied up.
Right. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. What else you got?
That's it, those 2 things.
Okay, so what's everyone's thought on Thursday and Friday, helping out with the other municipalities?
It would be 2 men and 2 trucks.
It won't be an overtime or anything, right?
No. And they're hauling from Davidge Park to the 4-H park.
Matt?
I think it's good if we're able to participate. Is that, and you said depending on the weather, so if it's snowing,
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
It was actually scheduled for tomorrow
Okay.
originally, but we moved it to Thursday and Friday.
I think it's good to be able to lend a hand with the other municipalities that Dean had mentioned.
I think as long as they're stepping up to the plate, I'm good with it. Ryan?
100% agree.
Jim?
I have no problem with it.
All right. I don't think we need a resolution for that, do we?
I do a motion just to be on the
All
safe
right,
side.
so a motion authorizing the highway superintendent to send 2 trucks, 2 guys this Thursday and Friday to assist with millings for Cornell Cooperative.
Make the motion as stated.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And how about this lift? Any questions for Dean?
Yes. Dean, what's the optional equipment, the services?
The optional equipment that we decided to go with was, in the center of the brochure, there's a 3-stage swing arms instead of the 2-stage.
Okay.
That's about 15,000, he said, for that, and we're also getting some 2-inch lip pads. They're not pictured, but they're similar to the ones that are on those 3 swing arms. The machine comes, if you see the picture that has the 8 on it, those are different adjustments for higher vehicles. Well, these pads would go on top of those, and they're like $200, he said. Actually, he quoted us less than 15 and 2, so that must be with the discount. Savings.
Less is better.
Those are the 2 options we have.
You looking for a motion, please?
Yeah, Jim, any questions?
No.
Is it time sensitive as to the deal that they're giving you, or?
I don't believe so.
Because I'd almost rather wait to make sure we know which account it's gonna come out, which line it's gonna come out.
It does say 30 days.
30 days.
Yeah, I think we could go ahead and approve it based on, and then Dean and I will work out the details on when the CDs come. So within the next 30 days for purchase. I believe most of the CDs, I have them rolling right now every 30 days, so, only because the rates are so it could potentially be 30 days from now, or it could potentially be 40 days from now.
Dean, what is their installation time? Did they,
1 day.
okay.
Oh, wow.
And this, it's a stocked item, so they can,
Yeah.
okay.
This covers all, like, maintenance on it too?
There really is no maintenance once it's installed. The cylinders are lifetime warranty on their seals.
There's no service plan, right?
No service plan.
So one and done, we pay this and we're done.
And it's a 25-year warranty on the structure.
All right,
I'm good to go.
all right, Brian, go ahead with your motion.
Does that mean you're making a motion?
Sure. We'll make a motion to approve the highway superintendent to purchase the Mohawk lift for $18,054.87.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
If I may, I guess I have one more thing, this complaint, I guess. He doesn't give a phone number, else I could call him and explain, but I guess I could write him a letter explaining the use of the sand and how we're slowly converting over from the use of the sand. His road just doesn't happen to be one yet.
Dean, do you have an address on there?
Yeah, I do have a PO address, Middletown,
Oh, it's just the post office box?
post office box.
Can't help you.
Oh, he does give his 51 Pine Grove, yes.
Okay, so we'll look it up and see if we can get a number for you.
Yeah, and I'll get back to him and explain it to him.
Fire department, got a lady to do that under here. You're up, Paul.
Just a couple quick things. The garage roof was done yesterday evidently. So the snow guards are on both sides of the roof. So we will send them their payment for the roof, so that's good. Chad was by today, checked it out, looks good. The basement, we had our first real test this past weekend. You know, Matt actually called me, I checked it Saturday. You can hear the pumps running. And actually on the one end, the water was going across the parking lot. Actually, the lower one, or the one closest to Baker Street.
The new pump.
The new pump, yeah, that's the way to describe it. And the water was shooting across, so just considering all that water probably been in the basement. So it was nice and dry, so that worked out. And then the other quick thing is, on the way here about an hour ago, one of our cars was in an accident. 151 Stephen Haynes was rear-ended on Mount Hope Road. He was making a left onto Tally Ho, and a guy came down the hill and rear-ended him. So we turned it over to the state police. they were still working on it, but they were writing the other guy a ticket for driving too fast and failing, or following too closely, and a whole bunch of things. It didn't look horrible, but I bet it's pretty significant. It's an SUV, he hit it with such force that it popped the back open and it will not shut. You can see it's pushed in, so.
He's okay.
Yeah, no one's injured, no, neither person was injured, so we will be proceeding, but in case anyone hears about that around town. So, the officer did nothing wrong, he was just making a left, he had a signal on, and the guy actually said, hey, I saw him with a signal, but I just couldn't stop in time, so clearly driving too fast, if you can't stop in time. And that's all I have, so unless anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Village of Otisville, Diane did, text me prior to coming here saying that the roads were kind of bad. And she really didn't have anything to report, and that she would watch the video, as she always does, to see. But I said I didn't think we had anything yet, either. Now that I think of the fuel agreement, I believe they're gonna approve, Kathleen said at their meeting this week. So,
Christine said she would put it on their agenda.
yeah, so that's really the only thing we have, with pending with the village now, so. And I actually don't think I wrote everything down, but while I'm on it, Ryan, can we talk to Little League and see if we can get a key to their room downstairs? We should have access if, like, water starts.
Sure. Will they put a padlock on it?
No, they've always had a key on it, it's just
A key door?
a key door and they just locked it.
Okay.
I mean, for lots of reasons, like the last time when we finally got in there, we found out the window was actually broken out, so, and, you know.
Even if we
didn't
have
see it
one
from the
stationed,
outside.
like at the PD or something, you
Right.
know, that.
Roger fixed it, you know, but if we would've known,
And I've had a note to ask you, and I keep forgetting to ask you.
Ask. I'll get a key.
And the only other thing that I have for you, Brian, is I've received calls already for summer rec. So I'm thinking maybe you or you and me will get with Angie or Kathleen, write a letter out to the directors first, see who wants to return.
Okay.
So that we can start. Now I'm getting calls from counselors wanting to know if they have the job already, and I'm like, we're not quite there yet, but.
Let this one melt first, so I get it.
I just figure at least if we interview the directors and they may say, we don't want that child back, or that was a great person, or whatever, so I think if we got their input first, make sure we have directors.
See who's coming back, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, I got
And
it.
then maybe, by next meeting, maybe we could send out something to the counselors themselves, once we know what directors we have.
Do you know what the dates are yet, and should that information be given out? Because I've had 2 calls already of people wanting to know when signups are and when the dates are, so I have no clue.
Yeah,
Check our
signups.
Facebook page, because I know that's where Brian was putting stuff.
Yeah, signups, we haven't come up with a time yet, but the first week of July, if you want to just put that calendar, it should be like July 3rd or 2nd, would be the first week of camp. Yeah, okay, yeah, so it would be, July 2nd would be the first day of camp.
Okay, and this is August.
And then the.
Yeah, and it would end on the 11th, or the 10th of,
August,
August, then.
that's a Friday?
Yep.
So it's July 2nd to August 10th. It's okay to give those dates out if people
Absolutely.
ask?
Because if we go a week later, we lose too many college kids, they go back to college and we won't have counselors.
So
we have to do it
July
that week.
2nd to August 10th.
Yep.
Okay. But you
Okay.
don't have dates set for signups? Just
Not
checking.
yet, no.
Okay, I've had that too.
I'm sorry, I have one other thing, just real quick. We got a couple calls in the last few days. There's a person trying to sell solar or to join a solar consortium. I looked it up in the book. It appears that he should have a license from the town, so he's
They
been
called me
directed.
today. They were supposed to come before I left, but
So a bunch of people called about it. We sent, actually Anna was out talking to him. I looked it up and, so if you get any calls, he's been directed to come down here. They said they were not aware of the town code on that, so.
Okay. All right. Howell's Fire Department, the new 2018 chief.
Yes. How are you?
Wonderful.
I provided you a copy of the letter that, if you'd like, I'll read. If not, you guys, I believe everyone has a copy. So if you just want me to go off of what I'm here for,
Yes.
you have the copy of the letter, but My main concern is the Beverly Road development that was put in off of New Vernon Road. The town of Walk Hill has a Beverly Drive off of 302, which is less than 5 miles from Beverly Road. Twice now on 2 separate occasions, we've been dispatched to calls extremely delayed because the call has gone to Circleville Fire District first, not Howells. The first case, we were delayed by 26 minutes for a car accident with a male subject bleeding from his head. And that was 26 minutes from the first 911 call till our tones got put out, so then we still had to respond and get on scene. So it's probably almost figured a half hour that somebody was waiting for somebody to come help them due to the confusion of the road name. And the second case was just on January 5th. There was a 19-minute delay for a carbon monoxide alarm going off in a house with illness. Circleville was originally dispatched, couldn't find the address. They eventually found out it wasn't there, turned it over to us 19 minutes later. My concern is that it's gonna happen again, and it's just a matter of time. With that being said, how long before it's a fire or somebody's having a heart attack and the ambulance goes to the wrong Beverly Drive or road? In my opinion, I think the road name needs to be changed. From my understanding, it wasn't supposed to be Beverly Drive in the beginning, and the builder changed the road name to Beverly. And I think to have those two that close to each other, especially with the Beverly and town of Mount Hope only being 685 feet outside of the town of Walk Hill, it's just way too close for confusion.
A couple of questions. One is, so when somebody calls 911, do they get pinged like where they are, or
It
is that how
depends.
it's?
If it's a cell phone, they sometimes, I don't know if they do it on every cell phone call, but they can triangulate the cell phone. If it's a landline, it ought to give the exact address. But if I go outside and use my CO alarm's going off and use my cell phone, they're just probably not gonna triangulate unless, you say I'm lost in the woods.
Right,
Then they'll
okay.
probably ping your phone. So, I don't think they ping on every call.
So do we think the confusion's coming from though, depending on how the caller calls? And that's why they're dispatching the wrong?
It could be. It's not 100% now. When I spoke to Vinny about it, they weren't sure why it happened on the last one. They really didn't have an answer other than maybe all the information wasn't taken. But even if they just picked the first Beverly, Mount Hope should have been first because everything's alphabetical. So it doesn't kind of make sense why Walk Hill got picked first on our CO call the other day. So they really don't have an answer other than if they probably went back and listened to the tape and exactly what was said. And the problem is I think people don't know where they live. So they don't know, Middletown versus Walk Hill versus Mount Hope. So because everything's a Middletown mailing address, so they think it's Middletown.
Right.
We have people that still call the Middletown Firehouse, so, but like I said, this seems to be the confusion with the road name Beverly and Beverly so close to each other.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
What
sir.
have they done, like, I know Middletown has California Avenue, and I know the town of Walk Hill right up to 11 has, California? Drive. Is there ever confusion with those two?
No,
No, okay, no, I'm just asking.
yeah,
Like,
no,
Has there ever been, like, when you talk to Vinny about this, or whoever about this, what have they done in the past to fix it? If they've ever had the circumstance of
I don't know, I didn't ask, if this is something that often happens. Very rarely do I hear it on the fire pager. Occasionally you get, the wrong dispatch. A few years ago, we went to the wrong Decker Road. It was in Ulster County. I don't know how Decker Road from Ulster County gets messed up to Decker Road in our district, but it happened. I don't know. I really can't explain.
Paul, do we have any of that happen with the police department?
I mean, anytime you're dealing with cell calls, you can have where someone's not really sure where they are. But it hasn't been a problem that I'm aware of.
And what would be the procedure, David? Like, what
I'd have to look up, if it's a town road, I think it was just a resolution as to renaming the road, but I can double check for the next meeting.
There's a lot of double duplicate names though. I mean, there's tons of duplicates.
We have Ridge Drive and Ridge Road.
Right, and we don't seem to have a problem. It sounds like more of it's a 911 problem, like they should be able to fix this with the computers.
Well, to answer your question, in my opinion, it's the county, they're not gonna do anything. Oh well, it happened, that's just,
Yeah.
the people we've had here with the tower, anything with the county, they really don't care.
I get it.
But
That was-
they have a
that's-
liability issue with this though.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree, what
Well, so
happens?
do we.
No, I agree, but you don't if you don't know about it.
Yeah.
They're holding the bag.
And-
If they don't dispatch you to the right place, I
Yeah.
think they're holding the bag.
And nothing on your end, but I mean, you guys might not know if there's a delay either. because 911's not gonna tell you, hey, we dropped the ball on this call came in a half hour ago. But, you know, they could send
Generally, they don't.
Wallkill PD, and if you guys aren't listening to now, then you might not know that they went to the wrong place. I mean, I don't know if this is happening with EMS too, but, I mean, I listen to the fire pager all the time. I heard the call go in for Circleville the other day, and it was on Dulcin Avenue. Well, we're going to Beverly Drive for a CO alarm, don't think anything of it. Well, on the way back, once they're saying, I can't find the address, I'm thinking, this has gotta be our call now. So we get back and, yep, it's gonna be in Howells, and then they gotta figure it out, put all the information in the computer the right way, and then dispatch us.
Yep.
So,
So if you weren't listening, you wouldn't know that they went to the other place.
absolutely not.
So when you show up, all of a sudden you're,
We're just 19 minutes behind the
Okay.
ball. And the lady's sitting in her car for 19 minutes waiting for a fire truck to show up that's 0.4 miles away.
I get it, I get it.
Do you have a liaison or anyone with 911 in Orange County?
36-1 is who I go with.
Okay.
And I spoke to him direct the day after the incident happened, and like my brother said, basically, not their problem.
Well, you may wanna have the attorney for the district also put something in writing to them, just so you have a record that they received it. And then as far as the other aspect of it, I can certainly look up the procedure if the board chooses to change the name.
Can we also do?
I can call Alan Wozbicki, who's in charge of the radio end of the county,
Okay,
and just see what Alan says. He can at least get to the bottom of
But
it.
no matter what, I would say have your attorney put a letter together
Okay.
for them.
and this has all the information. I'd like to have a letter written on behalf of the town too, to Orange County, because, I mean, these are our residents, and it's unacceptable.
What was the date of the incident?
The most recent was January 5th, 2018.
I'll make you a copy of this, Paul, both things are on here.
I don't have the date of the original incident, it was, I think, a year or two ago that one happened. But the other one, you know, happened again.
Yeah, thank you. I'll reach out for Alan tomorrow. He's the commissioner for emergency communications, so see what he says.
I mean, I'm all, I mean, if I lived on the road, I mean, I guess it's a double-edged sword. If I lived on the road, I really wouldn't want my road to get changed, because I got to change my license and change.
Yes,
But
and
the
I
flip
understand
side
that's a
is,
hassle, but,
If that was my wife that had the carbon monoxide call, right, I get it,
Yeah.
right, so.
so, and I know the car accident issue, the PD was dispatched first for a man lying in New Vernon Road, and I know the cops went out and they found nothing, because the guy crawled from the cemetery into Beverly Drive, and when PD got and checked New Vernon Road, they didn't see nothing, so they cleared the area with nothing founded, and the guy crawled all the way into Beverly to a house, knocked on the door, and the people answered the door, and here's a guy laying on her porch bleeding, and they called 911, they got out of him, he had a car accident, you can even see his car from the road where he wrecked by the cemetery, and they called 911 and they sent Circleville, and for 26 minutes, they were trying to find the guy in Circleville, and he wasn't there. And then 911 eventually called back to the caller and got out of him, I don't know what the confusion was, but they said, no, we're the Howells Fire District, not Circleville, and then they sent us. So,
Is like an easy fix to just put, like, change the name, and I realize there's a process, but to like North Beverly, or something in front of it, so it still stays Beverly, maybe that would appease the people living there, but that obviously would be a completely
But
different
so
road
if you
name.
call from your house, when they answer the call, just so you know, it comes up on the screen, it says, House Fire Department, Mount Hope Police, whoever the EMS provider is. So regardless of what the name is, the information should be there. So that's why it's kind of unusual that it would be coded wrong. But Brandon's saying, if it's a 911 call, the dispatchers have to ask a little bit more information. And to his point, I don't know how they do it on a regular basis. So the issue is more with people calling from their
Cell phone or.
cell phone.
Okay,
And
okay.
for instance, like we got a call from the people putting in the solar at Pearson's Farm. So they have to apply for a 911 number and all these things. So the builder would have done that presumably with the building department at the time.
Okay.
So landlines, there shouldn't ever be a problem. It's the phone, a cellular phone.
Okay.
and I believe the night of the car accident, that was called in on a landline from the address on Beverly Drive.
Yeah, see, that's an error on their part, and that should never happen. And you could change the name to Smith Street, and you'll have the same problem.
Yeah.
Because if they don't ask, you know what I mean, like if you
I'm
have to
sure you
almost
could
come
type
up-
in, you know, Oak or Elman, probably 40 of them pop up for Oak
Correct.
County.
Right,
There's doubles and triples probably everywhere, but
especially with the tree names, but yeah.
it just seems to be, you know, it's happened once, it's happened twice. how many times before somebody dies will we burn a house down? And it's really not gonna be our fault because we're delayed by 19 or 26 minutes.
I can't agree more. I don't know what.
It's just, it needs an answer from somewhere.
I think the first step should be, you know, your council writing a letter to them to put them on notice of the situation. And if you wanna reach out to them as well, and then if there doesn't seem to be any type of constructive response, then I would look into the other options at that point. But I think that's the way to do it.
And I think if the town supports a letter to back
Absolutely.
everything else up, it would be good.
You guys all in favor of doing a letter?
Yes, David, is there a way we can get the information from the 911 center, if they actually have the information for the road and the houses entered in their systems properly?
You could foil it, potentially.
Well, it's on the map, all we gotta do, like, we can look at our map, because that's where we get our map from, the 911 center, that's how it's put up. So I actually have house numbers on our map, so, I mean, I've never looked at Beverly, I'm assuming it's there, but I can look tomorrow as well.
And this Vinnie Tancaselli you have in a letter, he runs the,
He's in charge of the fire department.
okay,
Wisbicki's his equal in charge of the communications part, and Craig Cherry's they're equal in the police part.
is there one person that runs the whole EMS center, or?
Well, the commissioner is Brendan Casey.
Mr. Tower that was here, is that the guy?
No,
No,
Brendan
no,
didn't
no,
come, that guy works for Brendan
Yeah,
too,
okay.
but he's not a deputy
That was
commissioner.
Carney.
Carney,
That was
Casey,
Carney,
okay.
right, Casey's an appointee, they're all appointees, but there's a commissioner, and then there's 3 deputy commissioners for the there's actually 4, for the 4 disciplines, police, fire, EMS, and communications. And they're all equal, and then they report to Casey, who reports to the county exec.
Yeah, with your letter, I think we should send one to the legislator to put them on notice that maybe they can kick this section of the county in gear, and then the 911 center itself, hopefully.
Yeah, I just wanna have, I mean, obviously, we have as much facts as we have, I just wanna know what it is that I'm writing, but I have no problem, I send you guys a letter with whatever I send, so you have it.
Okay.
I've known
And-
Lord forever, so I mean, I can call him as well, Brendan as well, and just.
Okay.
And I can speak to Vinny again on my end, and I have my district meeting Monday, so I can let the commissioners know and have them, pursue it further from their end with our attorney as well to try to get something figured out, so. I figured Vinny was a start, and this was the next step to
Yeah.
try to get an answer to solve the issue.
Whatever support we can give you, you have it, but I don't wanna jump the gun, but like, I just think if you live there and you've never had an issue, you're gonna be like, I'm not changing the name of my road. But,
It shouldn't happen, and to your point, it should never
Yeah.
happen.
but,
Especially with the technology we have these days, it should not happen.
so, we're there with you, so probably by the end of the week, I'll have at least a draft.
Okay.
And I'll just call you and let you know I have the draft, and hopefully I'll have more information back from Paul.
Okay.
Or if you hear anything, you let me know, and
Yeah,
then,
I'll reach out to Vinny Tancaselli tomorrow and speak to him further on the issue,
perfect,
so, very good.
thank you.
Thank you.
The audit report, how'd you guys make out?
Very good. We completed the justice audit as well as the annual audit of the receipt books of the town departments.
Perfect. And there's a certain one, we gotta read it, right, Kathleen?
Mhm.
You wanna,
Sure. They're asking for a board resolution noting that the records have been duly examined and that the fines therein collected have been turned over to the proper officials of the town as required by law. And then I have to do a certified resolution and send it off to the internal audit services unit.
I would like a motion to approve the justice audit resolution as read.
Make the motion to approve the resolution.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, here we are again, Board of Assessment Review appointment.
Yeah, this was from the last meeting.
Yeah, this was under old business. We have another,
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Allison Miller to the Board of Assessment Review.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hmm?
I wasn't sure. No comment. No, sorry.
Howell Cemetery sign.
Did somebody, excuse me, did somebody talk to her? Does she know she has to take a class and all that stuff?
Yes, Dominic had, before he had left, he had said he'd spoke with Dennis first and then, got in contact with Allison. He was gonna give her the information regarding the schooling on it.
Okay.
Cemetery sign, do we know anything on that?
David, is there anything, we had mentioned this, I believe, a meeting or two ago, is there anything we can or can't do, or procedure we need to do to
Who runs the cemetery?
the township?
The town does?
So we, falls under your department, right, Dean? Oh, Kathleen?
No, well, he mows and plows, I take care of the books. It's a dual thing.
Then if the,
My only question was, I don't know that you can take the funds out of that account because it's supposed to be for perpetual care or whatever, so I didn't know if it could be appropriated for a sign.
okay, let me look into it, I apologize. After the last meeting I was at, a few things happened, so I got way late, but I'll take a look into it, and I'll give you a call.
How much is the sign gonna
Would
cost
you-
us?
Would the board like me to buy a new clock for the boardroom?
What? Yeah, we started the meeting earlier.
If it's 7 or 8.
It's 7.
Wait,
We're going back in time.
So so the money can only be used for what?
There's cemetery regulations, there's certain accounts that an entity running a cemetery has to keep at certain levels, under state guidelines. So I just wanted to touch base with Kathleen as to the accounts that the town has, and then make a call to the state, and then go from there.
Okay. Well, I think regardless, we're gonna buy a sign. Like, we need a sign over there.
It's just a matter of what account funds the purchase.
Right. I mean, I don't know, you know, there's potential of expanding the cemetery in the future years too over there, so, I don't wanna, we need a sign. So we can buy it out of somewhere else if we need to.
Dean, did you have any pricing or information, or just the request to be
Just
able
a
to do it?
question, it was just a question about why isn't there a sign out
Would you be able to have that for the next meeting, couple prices,
there?
please?
Yeah, sure.
And that way, if we can't do it out of there, we'll do it out of somewhere else. And then we'll just have the sign for the cemetery.
What kind of sign are they looking for? Like something like a road sign reflective? Or just a fancy wood sign, or?
Sign that says we can wait.
Okay. Then we'll wait.
But I know that somebody's asked me for directions too there. You know, if you have somebody buried there and you're not from the area, it could be.
Okay.
Isn't there some sort of a sign there now?
There's stone pillars at both entrances, and there's concrete that just says Howell Cemetery.
It's like a historic looking sign, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I think it says Howell Cemetery and
The incorporated
the
data.
corporation date, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a small brick within the pillars, like it's.
Yeah, I know, I wouldn't wanna do a digital sign, that would look yucky.
Oh, no.
For a cemetery.
Well, wait,
Dying to
oh,
get
wait.
Room available, call
Well,
Kathleen.
really, there's not any space available, only for cremains.
Is your time coming?
Only for cremains.
Call Kathleen.
No,
Book your stay.
You're a mile away.
next.
All right. All right, so now on these local laws, I still have questions on the senior citizen one. I just, even reading it 3 times, I still don't quite get it.
Okay,
The Cold War veteran one is basically to extend what is currently expired.
correct. In the state requirement, there's a sunset provision. So 10 years after that law was adopted by the state, that exemption would expire. This March would be the time, the assessment period that would expire. However, the town is authorized by local law to essentially ignore the sunset provision and continue to grant the exemption if it chooses to do so.
Okay, well, reading that one, I personally, and again, obviously we need a local law to do it, but I personally don't have an issue with it. It has no tax implications for the town. The other one, I don't know if it's going to or not. Like, I'm confused with the whole exemption amount, you know, like, is this potentially gonna raise everybody else's taxes?
I wouldn't think so based upon the information that the assessor gave. Basically, the senior exemptions have a maximum, there's a maximum of a 50% exemption
Right?
that seniors that have a certain gross income level can apply for, and then there's a sliding scale from that point on. What the assessor had provided us was that the county recently changed that minimum number to $29,000, which in the code right now it's $20,500. So there is the potential that it could raise those raise the number of those eligible for the 50% exemption. But I'm not sure what those numbers would look like. So it may be that you want to set the public hearing and then ask the assessor to attend, just so he can comment on what effect that might have on the current assessment rolls.
And that's what I'm more worried about. Anything that's in place already, I you know, if we go midstream here and, you know, the tax rolls are already set, and then next year we have a big.
I mean, I would think, even though it's probably not as large as inflation is, there has been likely some sort of cost of living adjustment in the fixed incomes that they have. So it may be by that adjustment, it actually is kind of keeping the amount of people eligible for that exemption steady. But I would have to ask the assessor about that.
Okay, so then maybe we'll do that. We'll set both things, and then I just want a little more information. Again, the other one, we're not changing anything. This one, I'm just worried that, you know, like all of a sudden we have $1 million less of assessed value, and it has to be spread out, you know, kind of mid-year, and just, I just.
Yeah, and largely the reason I put them together was for discussion, because I was kind of in and out the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to get that to you, so you had at least the option to take a look at it.
So is everybody all right? We'll set the date for it?
For the public hearings, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so probably February 5th.
Or the 20th.
We have enough time to do it for the 5th, or you want to do it the 20th?
You have enough time to do it for the Fed. Got 3 weeks.
Well, the only reason I'm saying is if we do it on a Monday night, then it should be here, so
Yeah, I
at
think
least.
that's a good idea. And, you know, contact him and make sure
Yeah.
he knows we want him to come and.
And also, if an issue comes up that you want to leave the public hearing open, you still have the ability to adopt it prior to March 1st.
Okay, so a motion to set a public hearing for Cold War veteran tax exemption on February 5th at 7:30 PM here at the Town Hall, 1706 West Otisville, New York, 10963.
I'll make that motion as stated, set the public hearing.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then a motion to approve, set another public hearing for the senior citizen tax exemption for 7:31 PM on February 5th, 2018, here at Town of Mount Hope, 1706 West Otisville, New York, 10963.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
A motion to approve the supervisor's report for December 2017.
I'll make the motion to approve the supervisor's report.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there an actual resolution for this, Catherine? Would you mind reading?
Yep. I'll just read the resolve part.
Sure.
Resolved that the town board of the town of Mount Hope, Orange County, New York, herein and hereby approves the below form of official undertaking of municipal officers of the town, as well as the manner of execution and sufficiency of the town's insurance company as surety under same, town of Mount Hope, Orange County, New York. And that is for the supervisor, myself, Linda Zagrodic, Joe Hosking, and John Goldsmith, and Dean Hasselmeyer. And then there's resolutions, basically like an oath that everyone has to sign.
So a motion to approve the municipal undertaking resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution as read.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Standard workday resolution, which we have to do every 2 years.
And this is, you want me to read that too?
Sure.
Be it resolved that the town of Mount Hope hereby establishes the following standard workdays for these titles and will report the officials to the New York State and local retirement system based on the record of activities. That's for the town clerk, the town supervisor, highway superintendent, assessor, Justice Hoskin, Justice Goldsmith, Councilman Camberary, Councilman Howell, and Councilman Carey.
I would like a motion to approve the standard workday resolution.
Make the motion to approve the standard workday resolution.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. A motion to pay the bills.
Make the motion, we pay the bills.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public participation. Brandon? Jim? Mary Beth? Hey! Board comments.
Okay.
Start with you.
Yep, two things, be kind of fall under Dominic, being he's out of town. A week ago Friday, there was a, minor issue in the sewer plant in Hidden Valley. There was some, one of the pumps was plugged, and, Mike was able to get a contractor out to take care of that. He did give me some ideas on how to keep these problems from happening. I did speak to Dean with, he mentioned making a screen system to, what happened, I guess the solids got into the pump and made an issue for him. So this way, if there's a screen system, it will keep the pumps from getting clogged or breaking. So, that's something either, Dean and his guys will be able to fabricate up. He's gonna get with Mike on that, or he'll have, something more than we're able to do. We'll have like a welding contractor take a look at it for him. And there was also, on the water side, the Hidden Valley Water, there's a water line that was to one of the houses with the new subdivision going in for Leisure's, the homes. We did the sewer district extension. They broke a water line last Wednesday, was it, Kathleen?
I think so.
I think it was Wednesday.
Mhm.
And Jason was here. I spoke to him, he had taken a look at it, our engineer from P&D. And it seemed that it was repaired and everything is in order with that.
Oh.
And, David, one question. For any new developments or road names going further, is there a procedure the town could have, maybe to help this confusion, to say,
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, anything like that would require a road dedication if it ends up becoming private property that's gonna become a road. So you can, at that point, you'd be able to dictate the name or, indicate to the planning board. You may even just wanna talk to the planning board and say, hey, if they can pick something that's a little different than just, Main Street or something like that, that would be appreciated, so.
but do municipalities have a written procedure or something to follow? Or?
No, well, as far as the dedication, yes, you'd have to approve any deed, and so at that point, you'd be establishing the road. So I would think at that point it'd still be a municipal decision as to what to actually name that road as part of the adoption of the actual dedication. So we would be able to look at it at that stage.
And would that come before just the planning board, or would it come to the town board?
At
or-
first instance, it would likely come before the planning board, just because, everybody wants to have a nice name for their subdivision, and usually they base the road names off of that. I would say at the very introductory meeting that any applicant has with the planning board, the board certainly could mention that they'd appreciate if they picked a name that wasn't as, a standard street name.
And we had made at our reorganizational meeting, one of the planning board alternates, a planning board member. I mean, that's not, do we have to advertise to recruit another alternate, or how do we?
We don't have to advertise. Do you know anyone interested?
No. just to fill that alternate slot that's now vacant,
Yeah.
because there's still one, but there
We had
was-
asked, when we first started doing it, we had asked that people like to put their names in. I don't know if we still had any other names. So I would say we would just wanna, maybe we just put on the website and Facebook that we're looking for another alternate. I mean, it's, yeah, that's fine. See if we get some interest.
Have they brought up anything at their meetings about it, or we don't know that?
I think this is the first meeting since the
New appointment.
appointment.
About,
Yes. Matt, you're correct. It would be, Wednesday's meeting would be the first meeting since the alternate was made permanent.
With what you were saying with the road names and picking new ones, is there, along with like the procedure, does your municipality investigate other road names that may be similar in adjoining municipalities? Or if we
Generally,
want
no,
Oak Street
because
and there's
the-
no Oak Street in Mount Hope, we pick Oak Street.
I mean, generally, no, simply because it doesn't come up that much, because most of it is, you know, like zip code, specific, so, I mean, the town certainly could. I mean, it's not uncommon, Port Jervis has a Lyman Ave and a Lyman Street, and, you know, it's kind of a similar situation, but, I think part of it was what you were saying, people didn't know exactly where they were at the time they were making a call, but, you know, if we have a roster of what the town roads are, obviously, for the highway department to maintain, so if anybody comes with a subdivision in the future that would require dedication, we can always compare whatever the name would be to that roster and see if we can't have them change it. I don't see any reason why that couldn't be done.
Under the county's real property site, on their webpage, they actually have a good screen where you can search property by section, block, and lot, or by road name. And if you put in all municipalities in that road name, it'll come up how many times it's used within the entire Orange County. And there's quite a few duplicates. But that could be a tool to prevent it from happening again.
Yeah.
That's all I have this evening.
Brian?
I have one thing, since I mentioned it last meeting, I looked into the grant for our summer concert series. No information's available as of yet because it hasn't been approved and circulated its way down. But I did talk to Department of Tourism. I am on the list to find out. I doubt I'm gonna be the first, second, or third person to know, but I at least will be the 10th or 11th person to know, so. As soon as I know, the board will know. That's all I've got.
What about our countdown clock?
Oh, your timer,
It has not been delivered yet.
Okay.
I'll look it up after the meeting.
Jim?
Just two quick questions. Any update on the well issue we had last meeting?
I spoke to Dominic before he, let's see, he went away. When, our meeting was the second,
Yeah.
is that correct?
Second,
I-
the 28th. Oh, yeah, the 28th was December.
January 2nd.
I wanna say on Thursday Dominic spoke to her, and at that point, she didn't have any water yet. She was going to try to go to the county meeting, but I think they rescheduled that one for Wednesday.
What do you know about it?
That was her
Well, I talked to her, she got the water back.
They have water.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
water now. I just wanna know if you spoke with Middletown or something, and they did something.
No, I didn't. Dominic had spoke with her and with Stephanie, the lady that was here at the meeting.
Yeah.
I do know that. I wanna say I think he called, it must have been Jim. He said he spoke to the other gentleman who had the phone number on here. So Jim Felder, I think he spoke with both of them, and that was on Thursday.
But now they both have water?
I know, she told me she had her water back, pressure was back.
Yeah, I talked to him at a basketball game and, yeah.
Dave?
Yes, no, her husband. And, yeah, I heard the same thing, that they got water back, but I really wanted them to come and explain how they got water back.
Yeah, I was just wondering how he got it back, you know?
Oh. Okay.
She told me she came back and finally came back.
They didn't have to drill the well?
No. I was just wondering if Middletown, did something.
Shut it off. Anything else?
Yeah, it was, another question I had, I attended the, new elected official training last week, and, they kept bringing up this 284 form. Do we have that in place for agreement?
284 agreement?
Yeah.
Generally, I do one every year. It's, not something I have prepared yet, because I have to get prices, estimates on all the road work that I wanna do this coming summer.
Okay,
Usually by late March, I'll have it prepared.
okay, cause they kept, you know, talking about this 284 form, make sure you sign that right away.
Oh, for the funding?
Yeah, no, for the roads they're gonna work on.
Okay.
Yeah, when's our new bridge coming from the Tappan Zee, Bill Tappan Zee?
Oh, we're not getting
Okay,
That's all I have.
Uncle Andy's Bridge.
all right, awesome. I'm just trying to think if I have anything else. I don't think so. All right, so motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. How'd you like the class?
It was very, very good, but I think it needs to be
Nine-one-one is
too much.
for you along with the
When I went,